Welcome back to the channel, guys. So Ubisoft has brought Assassin's Creed Valhalla over to Steam. So I wanted to check out the Steam version running on the Steam Deck and see how performance was. And I'm pretty pleasantly surprised with how it's running. We're going to go over some recommended settings here, but first I want to take a look at some other things. Now, FSR is something I'm going to kind of stay away from in this video. And for me, Assassin's Creed Valhalla has already been kind of a, I don't want to say blurry game, but there's always been something a little off about it to me. And FSR adds a little bit more of that shimmering and fuzziness and stuff that I just really don't prefer in a game. And for performance, I don't need it really. So I'm going to kind of stay away from it. And I'll zoom in here a little bit as well. And we're at low resolution anyway, so even off, it's only so good. But if you look at his beard and his hair and those arrows back there and stuff, it just, I don't know. Even with balanced, I'm just not a big fan of FSR in this game, so I'm going to kind of skip on that. Getting into the benchmarks here now. I'm not a huge fan of using benchmarks to figure out settings or anything, but in this game, the benchmark can give me a pretty good idea what's going on here. And it'll also show you that from low to medium, there's definitely enough of a jump in quality in a lot of areas that it's worth jumping up to medium and running the game at 30 to 40 FPS or higher often, in my opinion. But you can see here what the difference is from the performance here with low, medium, high, and very high. I stayed away from the next setting up there when it comes to that. We're not going to go above high anyways. And the benchmark only gives you so much of an idea because there's a lot of areas of the game that you're going to be out there playing and your performance will definitely be lower than what you see in the benchmark. But this gave me a decent idea of what to expect from the differences of each setting and what kind of performance and what I might want to go for when it comes to recommended settings. Now, as far as best settings for this game, those settings would be the settings that you choose to play the game at. Everybody loves to play games at different settings. They want 30, 40, 60 FPS, low, medium, whatever the case is. I don't necessarily like to say best settings as much as I like to make some recommendations and show you guys performance so that you can make the best choices on your end to set the game the way you want it to run. But with all that said here, performance is looking good and I'm loving the frame times for Assassin's Creed Valhalla here on Steam Deck. So let's get into what settings I'm personally using. So 60 FPS, full screen 1610, VSync on for the screen tearing, resolution scale is 100%. I have the medium preset turned on, and I just turned clutter down to low, though you could bump it back up to medium and shadows down to low. And of course I said FSR off. Now you can play with those shadows and ground clutter a little bit. At some areas of the game that was kind of helping me a little bit when it came to staying above 40 FPS, but definitely mess around with that. That's the only settings I really changed in medium besides depth of field and motion blur being turned off. But not all areas of the game will perform as good as what you're seeing here out in this open area at 60 FPS, but it was still impressive to see this and have such clean frame times in the game, meaning the CPU is feeding things to the GPU side of things on that APU really well. And I was pretty impressed with that, especially since Assassin's Creed games aren't necessarily that well optimized recently in the past few years with the recent iterations, but impressive enough. Now, of course, when you get into different areas of the game, this game's so big, you will dip down much lower in your FPS, but these settings might get you close. Now, I want to go ahead and take things down to the holy grail of 40 FPS or 40 Hertz mode here on the Steam Deck, and I think that works really well here combined with the settings I'm trying and getting performance here that for the most part I'm able to hold that 40. Now, like I said, it's a big game and I could run into other areas where I do dip below anyway. That could certainly happen, and we do still get some spikes here and there even with this, but for the most part with my testing and putting a couple hours in, I'm able to pretty much hold this performance and not have to use FSR. Now, if you want to go crazy and get into FSR and try to get an even higher frame rate, or maybe you want to go the other way and get 30 FPS and lower some more settings and raise that battery life and mess with your TDP, you could get into all of that as well. But I think this is a good baseline and gives you a good idea of what kind of performance that Valhalla's offering here on the Steam Deck. And for me, it's pretty impressive. I was actually expecting it to run worse from my past testing of Assassin's Creed games. But anyways, guys, thanks a lot for coming to check out the video. As always, I really appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.